Jack Keane joins us as the Biden administration struggles with rising tensions around the world. Mornings on the Mall, Tuesday morning 5 to 9 on WNL.
vaccine will be able to safely evacuate from St. Vincent after the Caribbean island nation. Your kids play or your cancel the trip. They asked for a refund and they pulled out of the trip. You know, my son's on high school football. My daughter plays softball. And I said to my wife, "Where's Steve this weekend?" I said,
I said, these days, I don't think you can ever think too offensively with the American left, can you?
No.
Well, Tom, stay in touch. Should this come to pass, heaven forbid, stay in touch. I'd love to hear back from you, okay? Thanks for making us your first call.
All right, I appreciate it.
Best to you. Thanks for listening. That's Tom in Blue Springs. Let's head out to Independence, talk to Carl about it next. Carl, glad you called KCMO. Hi.
Good morning.
Hi.
I'm curious if this league is demanding that children between 12
Wednesday, we drop into the upper
Center 4 days later also contracted COVID-19. So there are at least 2 cases out there of people who got the J&J vaccine and contracted COVID. One is dead, and now CNN reporting this morning that the U.S., this is their headline, U.S. calls for pause on J&J vaccine over blood clot concerns. Not editorializing, folks, just passing along these stories in the news. You can do with them what you wish. Telephone number 610-850-0990, 610-850-0990. We're online at 990theanswer.com.
got this whole thing in his head, like when I said, oh, that's the guy broken head, like I didn't want to sign the book. He said, is Artie still signed? I said, yeah, Artie signed for the whole 5 years. He said, I made him feel stupid. Howard, the guy was just like really weird.
Don't give a hell, paparazzi, baby. You know they're always trying to get me. $1 million looking icy. I can make it rain on you. I can make your dreams come true. But let me get this straight, don't ever need no man to tell me what to do. Come true, but let me get this straight. Don't ever need no man to tell me what to do.
crazy cow.
Three-legged stool. It's tough. It's going to be tough. But don't forget how critical corporate money is in all of it. We've seen it. We're seeing it now. As we take a look at traffic with John Butterworth. They be allowed limitless authority to do whatever they please under the auspices of an emergency without checks and balances from a duly elected legislature you send to represent you. That's just common sense governance that should have been in place, frankly, a long time ago. And we need a conservative version of variety shows. That's not comedy. That misses the point. Our side always kind of falls into this trap of, we need a conservative answer to entertainment. No, you just need entertainment that's honest. Comedy is honest. Comedy speaks truth to power. So that means Greg Gutfeld can and should, when appropriate, make fun of the turtle, Mitch McConnell, just as much as he makes fun of Chuck Schumer. When it's appropriate, when it's warranted. Of course, we understand that mainline variety on television today, Colbert, Kimmel, Fallon, we understand they're partisans. We understand they're there for clapping seals and to make left-wingers feel good. And they stopped doing comedy. I mean, we all understand that. I've been writing about this for over a decade. I mean, this is something I care deeply about because I used to really enjoy Saturday Night Live and the variety shows. I aspired to do that. I wanted to write and contribute to those things. But I swear to you, when I was a fan of them, I never looked at it as, hey, they're on my team politically. I never looked at Dana Carvey and Phil Hartman and Johnny Carson and even Letterman and Leno and Conan. I never looked at these guys that I admired in entertainment as a kid coming up. I never looked at them as partisans. I suppose if you questioned me and you said, hey, suppose these people vote, if I really thought about it, I'd say, well, of course the Democrats. But I swear to you, on a stack of Bibles, I was either too naive or in a different headspace. I never watched them and thought, they hate Republicans. Or Democrats are off limits. I mean, I came up watching those shows when Monica Lewinsky's dress was a thing. And they savaged Bill Clinton, savaged him. The 90s and Bill Clinton's presidency, can you imagine if Monica Lewinsky and the Bill Clinton thing were today? Do you think they'd even talk about it? The blue dress? Seriously, would Monica Lewinsky even be a discussion, a point of comedy on today's, quote, variety comedy shows? I bet they wouldn't even touch it.
If it were Biden, no.
Right!
Well, no.
If Biden were having an affair with an intern, forget it. They'd still be doing Trump comedy, in air quotes. So, the answer is not, we need a conservative comedy show. That was never it. That's not the point. That's why whenever shows in the past, Fox has tried this before. Something called Last Night Tonight or Yesterday Tonight, or I forget what they called it exactly. They launched the show with Rush Limbaugh as the president and Ann Coulter as the vice president. That was kind of cute as their kickoff show. But it floundered because it was created under the auspices of, we're going to be the conservative answer to the Daily Show and comedy. No. Comedy just is. Comedy shouldn't be. It's like we used to think of our Supreme Court justices. Justice was supposed to be blind. It wasn't supposed to be liberal justices and conservative justices. It was supposed to be, here's this document called the Constitution. Does the law run afoul of it or keep with this document called the Constitution? You didn't look at justices and go, well, he's a conservative justice, so he'll vote this way, and she's a liberal justice, she'll vote that way. That's not the way this was supposed to go. Same with comedy. You weren't supposed to tune into comedians and go, well, he's a Democrat voter and he likes Democrats, so it's going to be a whole night of comedy, air quotes, written about how stupid the Republicans are. And you know what you're going to get. But that's what it's become. I mean, you understand that. So I think I speak for Greg Gutfeld when I say I don't think he launched this show with the intention of being, I'm going to be the conservative answer to Kimmel, Colbert, and Fallon. I think he's just a funny, naturally talented guy who wants to do a funny show. And, you know, the reviews on it are not kind because it's not the clapping seal savaging of Trump, as they still are, even though he's out of office. They might actually dare make fun of, I don't know, say the guy that's in power right now, even though he doesn't know it. But I don't think Gutfeld pulls any punches. He's not afraid to make fun of Republicans just because he's on Fox. And that's real comedy. That's honesty. That's what comedy requires, is speaking truth to power. telling the truth. There's a kernel of truth in real comedy. If you're not willing to do it, you're just a court jester. That's not comedy. That's pleasing the king. 610-850-0990, the number 610-850-0990. Glad to have you with us today on Philadelphia's AM 990, The Answer.
Probably not starting right at 5, but I'll be listening.
You're gonna be asleep. Who are you kidding? Chris Plank, can you believe this guy? 3 days of getting up early. He's out.
Well, I actually, having done that for a while myself, I understand that completely. And Mary, I know you do too.
Yes, I do.
Well, once again, a few things to talk about. You mentioned Joe Biden is going to codify September 11th in the history of radical Islamic attacks against us by choosing September 11th as a pull-out date. And remember Tamir Rice? I have an update.
WMAL-FM, Woodbridge, Washington. Now, more than ever, depend on 105.9 FM, WMAL, a Cumulus station. News now.
WMAL News at 9. Good morning, everyone.
Where's this
I'm John
guy's
Matthews.
mask?
Now, a state trooper responding to a 911 call in St. Mary's County encountered a teenager with what
Infecting
appeared to be a
everybody.
gun. When the teen appeared to take a shooting stance, the trooper shot him.
A second witness has told
tried to get him released from prison last year, saying he had suffered from end-stage renal disease and other chronic medical conditions, but that request was denied. In New York City, Tanya J. Powers, Fox News.
The House Oversight Committee is meeting at this hour to mark up and send the D.C. statehood bill to the House floor for a vote next week. D.C. Delegate Eleanor Holmes Norton says last year's passage of the same bill educated Americans
about what they did not know about their own vision. That the people who live...
They used to be a news organization. They're the ones that have banned the word crisis when describing the border. It's a global news organization based in the United States, owned by leftists and run by leftists, operated by leftists in the United States. And because the Biden White House said, well, we wouldn't call it a crisis, the Associated Press, bowing and scraping to their masters without even having to be asked, they just declared in internal memos that we will not use the word crisis when describing the border because they're shills for the Democrat Party and little more. Well, yesterday they embarrassed themselves again at the Associated Press. The headline there is AP draws ridicule after suggesting mistress, that word in quotation marks, will be replaced with friend or companion. Now, why exactly would that be the case? Friend or companion, the Associated Press? This is not, you're no longer in the news business when you start doing this socially, woke stuff. Associated Press attempted to be politically correct in the definition of mistress, and it's led to considerable ridicule for the news outlet. Don't use the term mistress for a woman who is in a long-term sexual relationship with and is financially supported by a man who is married to someone else. Its style book account says on Twitter. Instead, use an alternative like companion, friend, or lover on first reference and provide additional details later. Like what, pictures? What's the, and they actually tweeted this out. This is how stupid these people are. Leftists are brain dead, wherever you find them. It's truly extraordinary. Just amazing stuff. Let's go to the telephones, because they continue to embarrass themselves all over the place. Absolutely nuts. Man, oh, man, shut it. All right, let's go to, let's see. Let's go to Amon, calling from Washington, D.C. Amon, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
How you doing? Good afternoon, sir.
Hey, great. Good to hear your voice.
Thank you. When I heard Mike DeLive today, I just had to call in. It just compelled me to call in about the whole Dante Wright situation. And I tell people all the time, it's like, comply now, complain later. If you know that your rights are being violated at any time during a traffic stop, the problem that we have in our community right now, black, white, green, and yellow, these young folks just believe that there's no responsibility on their part when they have any encounter with the police. They just feel like they can just do whatever they want to do, and there's no repercussion. They have been told over the last couple of years that you don't have to comply with any level of authority, even when it comes to your own parents for the most part. So I think it's hilarious. But now we have a situation here.
been 6 unarmed Caucasians shot and killed by the police so far this year. 3 unarmed African Americans shot and killed so far by the police in the United States. And 2 Hispanics, while unarmed, shot and killed by the police. The number of police that have been shot and killed this year, and killed, we had 1 murdered by a member of the Nation of Islam, 2 Caucasian police officers hit, 1 murdered, the other severely injured by this member of the Nation of Islam who likes to go by the X name. He's got an X name. And it was a suicide attack, by the way, one of many in the last few years by Democrats on the police, including New York City, Dallas, Texas, Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and more. Suicide attacks, not just targeted killings and murders of police. But never mind all that. So here is the mayor, Mike Elliott of Brooklyn Center, Minnesota. He is African American, just by the way. And it's not, it really shouldn't be important to anything we're talking about, but the Democrats, the party of the Klan and Jim Crow, and the party of the soft bigotry and low expectations, have made sure that everything, it's the Marxist analysis, must be seen through the lens of race, class, and gender. So here is Mayor Mike Kelly yesterday with his recommendation for making things safer for everybody yesterday.
I don't believe that officers need to necessarily have weapons, every time they're making a traffic stop. There are many other jurisdictions, even around the world, where that is not, necessarily the case. It's not needed.
Name one. Name one. This guy's an idiot, and he was shaking in his boots like a schoolgirl at a Taliban picnic. And that is about the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. How about domestic violence incidents? Should police go into those without guns as well? They're talking about disarming the police. It's not the first time either. And these are not smart people. I mean, this guy wasn't against it. As Stephen Colbert said, of course, a taser is a form of torture. That's what Stephen Colbert said. It's pretty amazing stuff. I know you played it earlier, Michael, but I like it because this is what the American populace is being tube-fed by the information-dominant Democrat Party in the United States.
And while we're at it, why are we tasering so many people? I think it's because when people hear taser, they assume it's harmless because it's non-lethal. But in fact, it's an act of torture to force compliance.
Yeah. Now, Stephen Colbert has an estate with a fence and a hedge and security. And he has a sky-high penthouse in Manhattan with security that won't allow anyone anywhere near his front door. And he broadcasts from a theater where there is armed security. And he's transported back and forth by limousine and flies private. And to be lectured by clowns like this guy is a little more than I'm willing to sit still for. Senator John Kennedy, always entertaining, from Louisiana, Republican. He's a common sense guy, and he speaks plainly, and that's appreciated, at least by me. Here's Senator John Kennedy talking about these Democrats like